According to statistics from the Ghana Health Service, close to 110,000 incidences of teenage pregnancies were recorded in 2020 alone. Last week and the week before, we talked about teenage pregnancy and the role of gatekeepers in eliminating it. We heard from our religious leaders, and this week we have decided to talk about teenage pregnancy and the role of young people in eliminating it. This program is brought to you by SAFSIGN in collaboration with UNICEF. Please leave your comments and your questions and your suggestions in the comment section, which will be read as the program progresses. So today, I have with me in the studios two amazing young people who are going to join me do the discussion. I have Arafat Abbas and Maridia. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How are we doing today?
We're doing good, and we're happy to be on the set with you today.
I am also very happy to have you too. So, tell me, as a young person, what do you think about the current situation of teenage pregnancy in Ghana right now? I'll start with Arafat.
Well, the current situation of teenage pregnancy is quite alarming. You know, teenage pregnancy is not something that is new to us. It is something that has always been in the system. But then for some number of decades now, we developmental partners and governments have tried to curb the issue of teenage pregnancy as well as manage it the best way that possible. But then it looks like the more efforts that are being put in towards fighting teenage pregnancy yields little results, and sometimes it doesn't even yield any results at all. So sometimes I'm forced to question how we as young people, as volunteers, as concerned youth, how do we really think we are tackling this issue of teenage pregnancy? Because personally, I feel like our fight still has a long way to go.
Okay, so Maria, your thoughts, please.
Yeah, from what Arafat just said, like there's either a little positive like changes or there's no changes at all. And like they always say, like change is a gradual process. So and we always keep on doing our work, keep on advising the youth. But I think that like now the youth, they don't just at first when someone get pregnant at a teen age, it used to be a shame. Like either from a society stigma, and I feel like now it's so less. It's kind of like it's so used to the system now. You know, people are now seeing it as normal. Like when someone gets pregnant, those kind of stigma and other things are no more. Like they are so less now. So we will keep on doing the work, but it's like the changes, the positive changes that we are getting is so less. But we keep on.
Okay, so with the whole making a comparison back then and now, would you say that the situation has worsened or it's getting better?
I would say the situation has worsened.
Okay.
Yeah, because so long as our population keeps increasing, human perspective towards certain things also change in line with years as it goes on. But then there are some things that still remain the same. But circling down to the issue of teenage pregnancy, it gets worse, because this time around a lot of young people don't see the need for comprehensive sexuality education. I think that is the main reason why. I'm not even going to circular it. I made a relation to young people because we are talking about teenage pregnancy. But then the fact is, how are these young people raised? What informations are available for them? What do they know and what don't they know? I think all these things are contributing factors to why teenage pregnancy cases keep doubling up and tripling up.
Okay, Maridia.
It's kind of like we're all like on the same point.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
okay.
like to me too, it keeps on getting worse. Because
You feel it's getting worse?
It's always getting worse. But
Okay,
we are just hoping that it changes as time goes. But for now,
you think it's getting worse?
worse.
Not to cut you, but in the past, I don't think that there was a lot of effort put into data collection. So maybe could it be that because we don't have statistics from back then, and right now, like, we are in an age where everything is being recorded and everyone is being counted. Don't you think that is the reason why you're thinking that it's worsening? Because you really do not have data from the past generation to back it up.
Okay, we don't have data. Yes,
Yeah.
there's no available data. But then, even with the data that we have, how sure are we that the data is accurate enough to capture every teenage pregnancy that has occurred in the country? There's no
So
way.
you feel that the figures we have might not even be reflecting the situation?
I feel like the figures we have could even be like half or just a fracture of what is actually outside. Because I don't think data collection goes as far as villages that you have to cross rivers to, you have to climb mountains. We have villages like that.
Oh, but if ballot boxes get there, don't you think that maybe
Exactly, ballot boxes could get there, but how much developmental projects get there?
Okay, that's a
Because
question.
if ballot boxes can get there, and they have to cross rivers, perhaps with canoes and all that, when they could simply build a bridge over the river or something. But then still, these people don't have them. So I feel like, yes, the statistics that we have now are way more than what could have been captured if data collection was done in the past. Now, let's look at it this way. As unfair as some of our cultural practices may have been in the past, some of them we can't deny facilitated the prevention of teenage pregnancy. Because in all, our ancestors believed in putting fear in young people, and they believed that made them train young people the way they wanted them to go, and it worked for them because young people, because of stigma and other cultural practices that they might have feared that would cause them when they fall foul to teenage pregnancy, gave them restrictions. So it somehow it gave them awareness.
Okay.
Awareness for staying safe, as in being abstinent from indulging in sexual activities.
Okay.
Unlike young people now who are empowered with more information. Of course, we can't compare 2 decades ago young people to this 21st century young people. The information level is very different. And it's a major contributing factor when it comes to teenage pregnancy.
Okay, so still, Maridia, before you come in, I want to ask something. You made reference to how maybe the thought of shame help in molding young people to, not engage in sexual practices as to prevent teenage pregnancy. But I want to ask you something. How do you define teenage pregnancy? There is actually a follow-up, but you tell me, when we say teenage pregnancy, what comes to your mind?
Okay, so there are some questions that are very practical. So in simple terms, teenage pregnancy is pregnancy that occurs among teenagers.
Okay, good. So, still back to your comparison, back in the day, they gave people out marriage as soon as a person starts menstruating, and some menstruate as early as 10, 12, and so on. So if teenage pregnancy refers to someone getting pregnant in her teen years. Don't you think that somehow teenage pregnancy, the numbers were higher, could have been higher as compared to now, because maybe it was only shrouded in the whole marriage thing, but there were still teenagers that were getting pregnant.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's very true.
Yeah.
But then this is where the difference comes in. Before I started, I said, as unfair as some of our cultural practices may have been. Now, relating it back to the question you asked. Now, there are for every tribe or an ethnic group, I want to believe there is a proposed marriage age for them, though it varies. Right, though it varies. For some people, it could be 16. For some people, it could be 15. For others, it could be 17, 18, and above. But then we also know that scientifically, a girl child is matured enough for sex at 16.
Okay.
At 16, if it's not a rape, it's a consensual sex, she's fine. But then we can also say that some of these young people who were giving out to marriage may have fallen within that age rate.
Yeah.
So I don't doubt,
Yeah.
I don't argue the fact that it's a possibility, but then I make that comparison based on population.
Okay.
We have a larger population as it stands than a few decades ago.
So what I want to know is, you would agree that the numbers were probably higher back then, but then it was probably shrouded in the whole marriage thing.
The number could
Okay.
or could not.
Okay. Okay, I hear you. I want to say something.
Yes, and then like from what he's saying,
Yeah.
or from the question that you've asked, it's happening. And I know a lot of people who are like within the teen age, like got pregnant and like kind of like she's now engaged, so they don't consider that one as teen pregnancy.
Yeah.
Like my brother made like we all know that teenage pregnancy is like someone getting pregnant at a teen age.
Yeah.
But then, to me, I feel like the society defines it in a whole different way. They see it as someone getting pregnant in an immodest way.
Okay.
So to them, either you are 16, when you fall within the teenage and you get married before pregnant, like getting
they don't
consider that one
as
as
teenage pregnancy. Yeah.
But when you then like even about 18 years, I have a friend who is smallish. When you see her, if I ask you of the age she gets the age, you say the person is 17 or somewhere like 16 years, but she's 22 years.
Yeah.
So if such a person should get pregnant out of marriage, then they would see the person that was someone
It's teenage
as a
pregnancy.
teenage pregnancy.
Yeah.
So to me, the society defines in a whole different way. Also have our own way of like looking into like.
Yeah. But
Okay, so I think yes, true. There's a difference between what is and what we would want
it to be.
it to be. So I think for us to better understand for us to better classify this, we first need to understand who is a teenager. Society first need to understand fairly who is a teenager,
yeah.
before we come into mix up the whole ideology of
teenage pregnancy.
teenagers and adults.
So I'll say for education purposes, we agree that teenage pregnancy is someone that falls within, who is a teenager that falls within the teens getting pregnant. That is what we call teenage pregnancy. So let it be on record that if you are above 20 years, you are unmarried, and I think that if you are a teenager, whether married or not, if you get pregnant, it is considered as teenage pregnancy. But if you are beyond 18, 19, you are 20, 22, 23, a pregnancy that you did not plan for. If you are unmarried, I think it's called an unplanned pregnancy, not necessarily teenage pregnancy. So let's get the difference. I do not want people mixing it up. There is teenage pregnancy and there is unplanned pregnancy, and the two of them, a teenage pregnancy can actually be unplanned pregnancy. Yeah. But someone who is an adult getting an unplanned pregnancy cannot be called a term that's teenage pregnancy. So let's get that out of the way. So still on the issue, what are the challenges that pushes young people into sexual activities?
Wow. Personally, I would rate monetary love for money or materialistic things, because that is what I see. I would rate that to a 50%, and then now segregate the rest to whatever it is that is happening.
So I'm trying to understand something here. When you say monetary, like, teenage pregnancy means a teenager getting pregnant, but we also know that female teenagers do not just drink water and get pregnant.
Of course.
So if we say monetary, is it on the part of the girl?
So we are saying it could this person could be victimized, right? I say monetary because we are talking about the drive. Right? We are talking about the drive. It's a drive into sexual activity, into the sexual world. Now, there are some young people who are very less fortunate to end up with unconcerned parents. Young people, everybody, so long as you are human, even animals have needs. If animals have needs, what makes humans not to have needs? Humans have needs, and young people have needs more, because young people need shelter, young people need food, young people need sustainability as well. Now, for a young person who ends up with who unfortunately ends up with unconcerned parents, where the hustle has to be like, okay, we live in a home where everyone is for himself, God for us all. The parents have no idea how the child feeds, have no idea how the child gets whatever she wants. I mean, how do we expect this young person to survive? Like, how this kind of person grows up with a killer instinct, I would say that, because I have to hustle for myself, and men are most likely to take advantage of this situation. Usually, for most of the cases that I see, it is often not young people within the same age rate that get them pregnant. These are likely to be older, like way older, more men. So in communities, usually what happens is that when a child begins to develop, people monitor, even without saying. They watch, they know, they watch, and sometimes some people start to develop some interest in the child, especially when it's a girl child. So they knowing very well that this person has needs and is not able to get it as a result of parents not providing, they bring it up to them. Okay, you know what, you are my wife, let me send you and give you something small. Like it's usually starts with a play thing.
Okay.
Before you realize this person is providing things that the child needs, creating a safe ground for the
an entrusting environment.
I mean, it's a whole lot.
Yeah.
But then usually that's how they kind of draw their attention. And there are also some young people within the community levels who have parents, right? I'm not sure how that usually happens, but they have concerned parents. But then, you know, when you are in the teen age, you are daring, you want to challenge the world, you want to do things on your own, you want to explore, you want to have a feel of this and that. In the company of bad peers, they might end up getting pregnant as well.
Okay.
So a lot of factors play in.
Okay,
in
Maria.
Yeah, to add up to what he said, like the point is clear and like it's very like solid. So, but what I would want to say is that I think another challenge is young people, like they lack the understanding of, like they don't have this, like they don't have the self-control. They don't know how to control themselves, because even as a teenager, if you know how to control yourself and then someone like you're following someone because of money, that money or that materialistic thing that is urging or that is pushing you into a thing alone wouldn't be a biggest reason for you to get pregnant at a teen age. So if you have the self-control, if you know yourself and you understand yourself, then I think it's one biggest challenge. Young people out there don't even care to know about their sexuality. They don't know. So it's kind of happen.
Is it that they don't care to know, or young people do not have access to sexuality?
That's where I'm coming.
Okay, let me.
I
feel like to me, most people don't care to know, especially those people. You know, the teenage pregnancy that they usually record. I feel like most of them usually is found in the big cities, like where like Tamale, like something like the biggest city, Kumasi, like those places are like they see this billboards around. They see like a lot of things. They have smartphones that they can go on social media, and some of them cry something like what we are talking about right now. A young person can be passing by, see the notification that Young Voices Forum, knowing very well that this is talking about the youth, and then the topic is the teenage pregnancy. This is the avenue for the person to stop listening to what is being said, but the person will be like, no. But then the person scroll and see something funny, something relating to something different or fashion. The person will usually give enough attention. Mm-hmm. So if the youth care to know, then they'll get access to
the view that
I think that is an individual thing. Yeah, I agree with Margia, all right, but personally I feel it's an individual thing, because we all grew up as young people. We all had a feel of what that adolescent age means. It's like Charlie, I don't care what I think is the right thing. How I feel is the best. I don't care whatever anybody else say. So there are some young people who are fortunate enough to get information, but then they don't care. Like they take in the information, they don't care. Others take in the information and make good use of it, as in they learn from it and they practice. Others don't have access to the information at all. So young people are categorized in different levels, and if we have to deal with them in relation to challenging teenage pregnancy, then I think it is imperative to identify what category of young person, the young person you are engaging, what category does he or she fall within, so you can know how to be able to engage with the person.
Okay, so if you just joined us, this is the Young Voices Forum, and today we are talking about, still on the issue of teenage pregnancy, but today we are looking at how young people can help in eliminating it. But before we continue the discussion, I'm giving out airtime. So if you just joined us, if you are following, this is Vodafone. So fast fingers is sure to get it. So the numbers are 2582 2908 776383. I repeat, Vodafone 2582 2908 776383. So if you got it, please can you indicate in the comment section and let me know that you got it. And you can still bring in your questions, your your contributions and your suggestions in the comment section, and we would sure respond to them as and when we can. So, Arafat, would you say that young people have access to the information they need to make better reproductive health choices?
It's a yes and a no for me.
Okay.
Like I said, there are some young people who are fortunate enough to get their information. There are others who are less fortunate enough to get the information. So yes, I would say it's a yes and a no for me.
Okay.
Because if I remember correctly, was it last year or last 2 years when we went to Wale Wale to make a donation?
The outreach,
I mean, clearly there was a chunk number of young people who had never even used a sanitary pad before. How sure are we that these young people get
information?
Not just the information, but reliable information enough to be able to make safe sexual choices.
Yeah.
So it's a yes and a no for me.
Okay. Maridia, your thoughts?
And I would say it's a yes and a no for me too.
Okay.
Because like
finally something we both agree on.
yes.
Okay.
So like I always say that I'll even be like at the side of the yes more than that of the no. Like let me just say yes.
Okay.
Because it's like our mobile phones. My concentration is most of the time on our mobile phones. We have it most of the time on social media. Or like we find everywhere. That you can find the youth in every corner. So this is and the thing is, I always emphasize on the fact that most of them then don't care to know. Though some of them are not given the chances to. Some of them are not given the chances to, because I'm sure that the time that we went to the Wale for this thing, there were some young people, the female, who were inside. Like they are not allowed to.
Yeah.
Or even if they're there crying, they have something to say. Like the crowd or those that they are with, the elder will not even give them the chances. I think that yes, some of them have the access to, but
some also don't.
Most people have the access.
So still on the information, with the information that has been churned out about reproductive health, would you say that the information is quality? That if a young person were to hear it, he can actually follow that information and make an informed sexual decision?
Okay, I think it depends on who is giving that information and who is not. Because for me, I can confidently say if you are getting information from UNICEF, it's worthy enough. If you are getting information from Savannah Signatures, especially on the Go hotline menu, it's solid information enough. If you are getting information from any NGO, She Plus Call Center, whether on the Facebook page or anywhere, any NGO, it's reliable information enough, because NGOs work with checklists, and if they give out information that is wrong, they can be taken on for it. So they are careful about what information they give out. So I tell you, as a young person, if you are fortunate enough to get any information at all, whatever it may be, whether it is related to your sexual health, mental health, physical health, or money health, because I know someone will say money. Whatever information, that's just by the way, whatever information it is that you are getting from these bodies, then you should treat it with the due importance that it carries.
Okay. Maridia, you have anything to add to that?
Yes. And then the thing is, like, from what he was saying, I was trying to say, like, most of the young people get their information from their peers, other than going to the health centers or calling on something like the She Plus to get information. So it depends on where, like, they access they get the information from, like he made mention. So if they're getting it from all the people that are, like he's mentioning, then they are sure that they'll get a quality this thing. But it's just it's just unfortunate that most of we, the young people, usually, I said, like, get information from our peers or some go on social media. Something like having an infection and you don't even know exactly what, like, you don't know anything about the infection in it. You are going on social media, not even trying to look for the source, like, about, like, what it is actually is, but you're just going to look for ways to treat it, not like without going to the health center. Okay. So most of the times, people are like.
Okay, so we talked about where young people. You mentioned a few places young people can get information, and for some people, I think that the only place they can get access to quality sexual reproductive and health information is the health center. But then, would you also say that attitude of workers at the health center can be a contributing factor?
Yes. I'm not even letting you
okay.
Yes. I mean, just quite recently, I think 3 days ago, there's this place I usually hang around. It's a place for boys, but then they are much older. So there was a similar conversation, and someone said that he has personally observed that these days health professionals in public offices do have their own pharmacies and their own hospitals, and you go there and they are like, okay, you know what, I'm writing this for you, you go and buy it from a pharmacy. Go to this pharmacy, as in like, okay, go to Sakasaka, there's a pharmacy just right opposite the mosque. Don't cross the road. The pharmacy, make sure you get like the exact location of where he's referring you to, because that is where he owns, and you going there means that you are going to purchase from his store more money for him. And someone said a similar thing. He's like, okay, he met this young person who went there for a family planning option, and she was like, according to him, he was just a curious young person, someone of about 14, 15. He wasn't sure of her age, but then he was entering and he met her standing at the entrance of the facility. He went in, spent about 45 minutes, came out, and he still met her standing there. And he was like, okay, I met this young person. What is she trying to do? So as a concerned person, he went and he was asking her why she's there. And she's like, she wants to come and ask about family planning. What is it? How is it done? And what are the advantages and disadvantages? But that the last time she came, there was one nurse who had a very mean-looking face, and that nurse is there. She is scared to go into the hospital. I mean, this young person has already branded every nurse in there as mean, because it's like knowing very well the stigma that has been surrounding comprehensive sexuality education and all that. She's not sure. Now, let's assume that this young person wanted to make a decision at that particular moment.
Yeah.
And this awareness has prevented her from going in. So what he said the best thing he could do was to explain to him the way he knows, though he thinks he doesn't know enough, but he just told her something small and she was satisfied and went away.
Okay. So I think at this juncture, I'll make an appeal to health professionals to tone down on the judgment when it comes to young people, because sometimes things like these force young people to make other alternative choices that do not pan out well at the end of the day. So this is a humble appeal so that our health workers can be less judgmental and provide a safe space for young people to make inquiry so as to make safe sexual choices when the need arises. Yeah, Maria, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, like you mentioned we were then got like that like I'm so happy about, which is judgmental, because I've fallen a victim before at TTH here. I was not sure of what I was going through, but I consulted a friend. The friend was like, maybe it is this, you go to the hospital and check. So I got in, and then the nurse was there. And then when I just, like, she didn't even ask the moment I just mentioned it, it's like, you guys will not do this. And she started shouting.
Oh no. So
I came up weeping. And then I have one of my masters contact who I was very close with. So I just moved my phone and called. And he saw I was crying. What is wrong? I said, I went to the hospital and you advised me I should also go. This is what the Hajj did to me.
Okay.
So he came. So the moment he came inside, he was like, oh, Alaj, I'll come the chi. And he's like, Mzimbalama.
Okay.
You shouldn't have. So when you talked to Ajay, and he was like, oh, she didn't know. You know, most of us, we usually go through
Seriously, you have to know someone before you
when
go.
my uncle was down, the master was down there now, that her voice was...
Yeah.
So I was like, this is something that... And I was very happy that I was able to voice out. But a lot of people, the moment they walk out crying and they are gone, they'll go and take different decisions.
I think when it comes to health professional and I think a lot of young people would have a story to share with regards to that. I quite remember to my the first time I ever wanted to do an HIV test after a sensitization exercise I partook in. So I was like, okay, let me go and get an HIV test done. Not that it matters, but even at that point I wanted to get the test and I wasn't even sexually active. I mean, I know that is not the only way by which one can contract HIV, but then for purposes of discussion, I went to this hospital and the very first person I met looked at me from head to toe and was like, what are you here for? I said, oh, I want to get an HIV test done. The moment I said I want to get an HIV test done, the look on her face changed. And it's like she had already pronounced judgment on me, because if I'm coming out of my own accord to ask for an HIV test, then it's probably I've been doing a lot of nasty things that I need to actually find out my status. And then she just looked at me, sized me up from top to down, and then it was like, well, if you want to do an HIV test, well, you can go over there. And then she walked away. She didn't even try to, lead me to the place or anything. She walked away, and as she walked, she kept turning back to look at my face very well. And that experience scarred me. I thanked her and I went straight back home. I didn't get the HIV test done. And for months, I always wanted to do it, but that experience was very difficult for me. Until a friend encouraged me to try a private place. Maybe the experience will be different. And I actually went there and the experience was different. I was really scared, but then the way they welcomed me, the tone of the man's voice and how calming it was and everything, it sets me at ease. And I was able to get that test done. So I think that when it comes to this, a lot of young people have a lot to share when it comes to attitude of health workers. Because a young person and another one that is very timid, if they encounter a situation like this, I think it's very, very difficult for them to want to come back or come and get access to information as to make safe sexual choices. So moving on, what role do you think parents can play to ensure that the young people have access to reproductive health information and services?
Okay, so I think some parents are getting informed at the moment. I mean, some parents are being more realistic to the issues on the ground, so they are more attentive and more loving, more careful and more caring right now. It's just not happening as quick as we would want it to, because there are some chunk number of parents who still even personally drag their children into marriages and all that. But then, I think parents can still step up their game. And also, they need to step outside their own families and also intervene on behalf of other young people. Because very often we like to play the game of I'm minding my business. I'm minding my business. But a truth that is seen and not told, it's worse than actually. It's more like you are helping that person to do whatever wrong it is that the person is going to do, all in the name of I'm minding my business. So you have a parent in a community where this parent is being less caring about his ward, and you are quiet about it because you are minding your business, forgetting that at the end of the day, that child is still going to end up with your child. You may be training your child well, but don't forget that children also easily get influenced by their peers. This young person may end up with bad company, and that is likely to spread to your child. So I think parents should step up their game. They should do more and encourage each other, step outside their comfort zone to intervene for
other young people. Okay, Maria.
Yeah, I feel like parents have a major role to play in here. I can remember another time we were having a sensitization or something like the market square around. So I stopped one lady. She was married because I could see the hijab on it. So I was talking to her and she's near Harry, so I pleaded with her now. So when I showed her something, I thought I know she was educated. So teenage child marriage was on the distance. So she was like, I'm married. Why are you talking to me about child marriage?
Okay.
So I feel like parents should pay more attentive to their children, and then they should even do the information that you are going to get access to. If not useful for you, but you should get it because of your work. So you always try, because most of the time you stop them on the road trying to talk to them and they'll be like, I'm not part of it, why are you talking to me about it? So by knowing that you can also take it and go and give it to your children to read, and they should just let them be, because like making a relation to that time we went to Wale Wale or that village, this thing, like I was very sure that there were some female children indoors, like their parents will not allow them. They should allow them, like they should, even if you don't have the knowledge, if you don't have the knowledge to teach them, but you should give them the opportunity to also like get access to the information.
Okay, so we are still discussing teenage pregnancy and what young people can also do in their bid to eliminate it, and so far the discussion has been really heated and interesting. I have a message from Reina. Reina says, I want the airtime, thank you. Oh, thank you, Reina, for acknowledging it. I don't usually get it like this. And then she also says, I'm really enjoying the discussion. Thank you very much, Reina, for watching. So our time is almost up, so I would say I'll quickly take your final words and then we wrap up.
Okay, so my final words would be to encourage government agencies, developmental partners, stakeholders as a whole to game up their cause for championing the fight against teenage pregnancy. We have a long way to go. We have started from somewhere already. We can continue, but step up bigger and better than before, so as to create an enabling environment for young people. We need a lot of young people to come aboard. We always say the future belongs to the young people or the youth, but what are we doing for the youth? What are we doing to guarantee a safe, better future for them? Are we just saying it because we want to say it? Are we just saying it because we have a vision for them? Or are we just saying it to feel good about ourselves? So I think we can do better.
Okay. All right, yeah.
Yeah, so apart from the fact that others can also do it for, I think we can also do it for our own selves. So I will just advise my colleague, the young people, especially those within the teenage, that like as at that time, we are so like we are ignorant, like kind of like curious. We are curious. Like I want to experiment. I want to like experiment. Like you just want to do it. But this private thing, you need to learn like how to control your own. So you need to identify your own self as a young person and what you want to do, what you want to be. And I think with this quality, you take your mind off like certain things which will lead to teenage pregnancy. So that's what I have to say.
Okay. So this brings us to the end of our discussion today. It's been very, very insightful, and I am very, very grateful that these amazing young people joined us in the studio to share their perspective on this issue. As I said, the fight is huge, and we need everybody to come aboard so that we can all work together to eliminate teenage pregnancy.